make 190.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua's gigantic.
So big.
He's so big. He's so much bigger. So, of course, like, his punch that he knocks Tyron Woodley out cold with, Joshua just eats it.
Yeah.
As Jake felt his punching power, those doubts AJ seeded in his mind were surely consuming Jake's inner monologue, because what was occurring in the fight validated what AJ had said.
I do think it is a freak show, if I'm honest. I also think it's dangerous. I'm sat here as a boxing promoter and I see what goes on with the medicals before and after fights and how dangerous the sport is. And I saw Callum Simpson, the fight should have been stopped way before it was.
Joe Rogan strongly reacts after Jake Paul takes a career-threatening knockout. He says Anthony Joshua is simply too big and too powerful, calling him absolutely huge. Rogan explains that Joshua landed a crushing right hand at full force, breaking Jake Paul's jaw. He stresses that the strength gap is massive, and fighting someone as big and strong as Joshua is a whole different level.
I give Jake so much credit for stepping into that ring.
Bro, he got hit with a bomb, a right-hand bomb.
When he got hit with that too, I don't know if enough has been made of the fact that, I mean, it was absolutely devastating. But the fact that he had awareness immediately to go like...
Joe Rogan says Jake Paul was badly hurt in his recent fight. He explains that Jake lost teeth and took very hard punches. Rogan points out that Jake is now struggling to eat because of his injuries, showing how serious the damage is. He warns that fighting much bigger or stronger opponents again could end Jake's career. Rogan also criticizes taking dangerous fights just for entertainment and urges Jake to choose safer matchups to protect his health and future in boxing.
Just deal with the fact that Anthony Joshua is going to connect with a bomb and breaks his jaw in 2 places.
Yeah.
And he's fucked. His jaw's wired shut now. He lost teeth.
See, I mean, he made it to the 6th round.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Did they put your teeth back in when they pop out like that, or are they gone forever?
I don't know. But it's just wired shut for like 6 weeks now.
Yeah. You got to eat nothing but protein shakes. Bro.
Oof.
I mean, look, it's a crazy world. The thing is that I would hope that he recognizes.
Psychologist Derek Van Schick warns that Jake Paul faced very serious danger against Anthony Joshua, and his injuries were not small. He explains that Joshua's power and accuracy made the ring extremely dangerous for Paul, especially a right-hand punch that broke Jake's lower jaw in 2 places. Van Schick says this kind of injury causes a lot of pain, makes eating difficult, and can hurt a fighter's career in the long run. He stresses that fighting a bigger, more experienced opponent greatly raises the risk of severe damage. According to him, this fight shows how mismatched bouts can entertain fans but put fighters in life-changing danger, highlighting the need for careful preparation, caution, and respect for boxing's real risks.
To limit the number of punches he threw, and also aim a little lower to land that clean right-hand punch on the side of Jake's face, which fractured his lower jaw, still hospitalizing Jake Paul, but not actually killing him.
If Anthony Joshua won, Anthony killed this guy. Rolls-Royce, Fiat.
The variety of emotions we see in the final moments of the fight are fascinating. AJ finally corners Jake, hits him with a quick left-hand jab to the body, which lowers his guard, opening up a clean right-hand shot to the head. You can see AJ smile there when he sees Jake had fallen into his trap and knows that he's about to finish him off.
And then you just keep exploiting. Some people give up. Some people get knocked out.
Jake's body language and facial expressions when he knows it's all over for him is a little sad as he whimpers in the corner with that scared, nauseous look on his face, realizing this may be his final moment on earth.
If I get hit with that shot, I'm screwed. I don't believe he's gonna hit me with those shots.
You gonna hit him with that?
100%. And land that right hand that he says is my only weapon.
If you look at Jake's eyes and face, he's pleading for mercy to AJ, as if he's a child. Please don't do this.
Some people get knocked out.
It's actually quite surreal that the moment many of us were concerned what happened to Jake actually happened in real life.
If Jake Paul is left, up against the ropes with Anthony Joshua, unloading on him, could be the end for him, literally. It could be his last day on earth.
Jake Paul was helplessly exhausted, badly beaten, and cornered where AJ could have unloaded a flurry of clean punches on Jake. When he takes that clean right shot from AJ, breaking his jaw in 2 places, and then falls to the ground.
And his chin served on a platter, and look at Jake Paul's face. He knew it right away. He said, woo!
Some wondered why Jake had that emotion of excitement.
Ben Shalom strongly criticizes the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, calling it a dangerous show that went too far. He says that unlike some crossover fights, this one had real physical risks that were ignored. Shalom explains the fight was mostly about money, putting profit above fighters' safety. He also blames the officials for not stopping the fight in time, letting it go until serious injury was almost certain. According to him, pushing fighters like this crosses a line, turning boxing into a risky event. The fight is a warning that chasing spectacle and money should never come before health and safety.
What's your worldview, Ben, on the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua circumstance? I mean, a lot of people talking about the discredit it does to boxing. I don't put it in the category of boxing. I put it in the category of entertainment, and Anthony Joshua being introduced to America as a media star. What's your overall view of what it does or doesn't do for boxing? Jake Paul being licensed in a fight that many people think that he shouldn't have been licensed to fight, in a commission that often does that. As a promoter, do you think it's a bad look for boxing, or are you thinking it doesn't really matter? It's not really what boxing's about.
I usually and have said in the past that things can be things, you've got to take it for what they are. But in this occasion, I do think it is a freak show, if I'm honest. I also think it's dangerous. I'm sat here as a boxing promoter and I see what goes on with the medicals before and after fights and how dangerous the sport is. And I saw Callum Simpson, the fight should have been stopped way before it was, but was in trouble on Saturday night. It's all a bit of fun and it's all a money grab until someone gets seriously hurt, seriously damaged. And then the whole sport comes into disrepute. For me, it makes a mockery of the sport of boxing. For me, no one in the industry wants to talk badly about it because everyone's lined, the pockets are getting lined. And when you look at that, and kids will look at that, and fans will look at that, and sponsors will look at that and think that that is boxing. As I say, we're one punch away from something serious, and yeah, it's
Ben, on the flip side of that argument, mate, you will tell me that you knew that Chris Eubank wasn't right to go into that fight.
No, but let's be completely honest, right? Whatever you want to say about that fight, these are two experienced professional fighters. Chris Eubank Jr. has been in fights previously in his career where he's not been 100% for. You cannot justify.
Jake Paul faced a huge challenge against the much bigger and taller Anthony Joshua. During the fight, he kept dropping to one knee, putting himself in real danger. Each fall risked serious injuries like ligament damage that can last a long time. This showed how risky it was for Jake to fight someone as big and experienced as Joshua, and how hard the fight was on his body.
You're in there with a bigger, taller person, so keep taking the knee. First of all, your knee, you can get ligament damage. Remember when Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was losing every round to Sergio Martinez, and then Martinez fell to the ground kind of weird? He messed up his knee. He was never the same fighter. So you got a broken jaw, but you could have tore ligaments in your knee by having a 260-pound man, fall on top of you because you keep making it sloppy and falling around and spilling about. And even if you don't like rupture something or tear a ligament or whatever, it's not really much better than someone leaning on you. Do you know how much energy you exert by having to be like 220 pounds or whatever, 216, and keep picking yourself back up? Like I seen a thing, I didn't count myself, but it said there were 12 or 13, maybe 14 times that Jake Paul was on the canvas. Horrible strategy. And Netflix, I don't even see how they would like that. And for me, this generation they're chopped, bro. Jake Paul did all this, and y'all want me to give a bunch of credit. Jake Paul did all this talking about Joshua getting knocked out. You did whatever to sell the fight, but you didn't make good. That doesn't make you look good when you talk crazy and talk spicy, and then you have no intentions of fulfilling that. And then you got the Jake Paul fans and the Andrew Tate fans, because they lost kind of back-to-back, where they're trying their hardest to turn this into some inspirational story. Like, oh, as long as you try, it doesn't matter. No.
Brendan Shaw shared his honest view on Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, saying there was never a real chance for Jake to win. He pointed out the huge skill gap, explaining that Joshua's power, accuracy, and ring experience made it almost impossible for Paul to compete evenly. Shah said that while fans and social media built a lot of hype, the reality inside the ring was very different. According to him, the fight was made more for show than true competition. With Jake facing challenges far beyond his level, the matchup showed that hype and popularity cannot replace real boxing skill, especially against a top fighter like Joshua.
The way this should be marketed is not, can Jake Paul beat Anthony Joshua? That's insane. That's not real. That's not real in any facet. There was never a chance. There's never a chance. And the Jake Paul fans, and I was getting this a ton from DMs and comments going, well, everyone has a puncher's chance. That's an uneducated opinion. A puncher's chance, yes. If they're in a bar and Anthony Joshua's there at the pub and Jake Paul were to sneak up behind him and hit him in the back of the head or, in the side or something, maybe, even then, he's a little light in the ass, but maybe that's a puncher's chance. In a professional bout where a professional fighter at the level of Anthony Joshua is at, and he is going into a ring knowing and expecting to get hit, there is no puncher's chance when there's that much discrepancy in talent level. There's not, especially when the size difference. And some of you will say, Jake Paul hits hard. To you, yes, to you. But also, Jake Paul hits hard for a 200-pound man. He wouldn't even measure in the top 1,000 professional heavyweight boxers in the world as far as the strength knockout meter, if there is such a thing. It's not possible. So a lot of you were tuning in for saying, well, he has a puncher's chance. That's not real. That doesn't exist here. And now they could do this, but I don't think it's going to get the same amount of views, but it would set expectations. If, when this fight was announced, Jake Paul's team said, hey, we're fighting Anthony Joshua, who thinks we can last 8 rounds?
Boxing analysts quickly noted that Jake Paul's fight with Anthony Joshua showed the limits of his boxing skills. While Jake has earned attention and a big following through crossover fights, facing a top heavyweight revealed serious gaps in his abilities. Observers saw weaknesses in his stamina, showing that keeping up with an experienced opponent is much harder than his past fights suggested. Technical problems were also clear, from footwork to defense, proving that online fame and hype cannot replace years of training. Analysts stressed that real boxing takes consistency, discipline, and the ability to adjust to top-level fighters, skills Jake still needs to fully show. This fight acted as a reality check, showing that while promotion and entertainment can boost a fighter's popularity, they cannot hide weaknesses against the sport's highest level of competition.
Because you train or you put on a pair of boxing gloves, that does not mean that you will be perceived as legitimate. It doesn't mean people will be willing to pay to watch you fight. Me personally, I was done with Jake Paul after the pretend fight that he had with Mike Tyson last year. Clearly, I'm not the only one, because viewership for his fight last weekend with Anthony Joshua, it was significantly lower than a real fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford.
Derek Chisora spoke very honestly about Jake Paul's fight with Anthony Joshua, making it clear that just stepping into the ring doesn't automatically earn respect. He explained that real bravery in boxing takes more than being there. It requires training, skill, and the ability to handle real challenges with strategy and discipline. Chisora dismissed the praise and comparisons from others in the sport, saying they ignored the truth that Paul was mismatched against a much stronger and more experienced opponent. He added that just taking hits or facing danger does not prove toughness. True respect comes from skill, smart choices, and consistent performance under pressure, not simply surviving a risky fight. Chisora's comments remind everyone that a flashy fight is not the same as real achievement in boxing.
You're fighting someone who you're supposed to it's not supposed to look competitive, he's not supposed to hit you, he's not supposed to go more than 3 rounds, but at the same time, you need to know how to control the pressure. I think AJ's demeanor in the build-up was someone who was like, you know what, everyone's saying these things, but this is how I see it. Yeah, I rate him, he can box a bit. He did say in an interview with Steve Bunce that like, when he was talking certain things, there's a part of me that wants to punch him in his face, but I'm just going to chill. And I feel like that's how he handled the immense pressure.
The last time we saw AJ fuming like this, like when he actually tried to do something, was with Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
So So we should not judge him when he says something like this, because when he don't say nothing, we say, oh, why is he not saying anything back?
Yeah.
And when he says something, we're like, oh, what did you say that for? You know, so the guy is not gonna win with anybody, because if he says something, you're like, oh, you guys go against him. If he does not, so he's just madness. So
yeah, and Eddie said that as much as that, because we asked him. Well, I asked him about the comments about when AJ didn't threaten to kill Jake, but he said, if I can kill you, I will. And Eddie said, look, people say he's too media trained and he's too boring, and then when he says something, everyone's up in arms about it. So I understand that.
That's why I think it was balanced. That's why I think the build-up was actually balanced, because he said, if I can kill you, I'll kill you. That shows you I'm not.
And as the week went on, at the weigh-in, he started to show his frustration.
Yeah, don't touch my face. Like, it's not ha-ha. We're not running these jokes.
The fight with Joshua was both a show and a warning. Jake Paul's social media fame and past wins could not make up for facing a real heavyweight. Analysts agreed that experience, preparation, and skill matter far more than bravado, and that safety must come first. The match showed the limits of crossover boxing and the dangers when a fighter is pushed beyond their ability, affecting both Paul's career and the sport. Analysts said the fight focused more on money and media hype than real competition, putting Paul at unnecessary risk. The big gap in size and experience between Paul and Joshua showed how financial incentives can outweigh safety and fairness. Paul's injuries were a strong reminder of the real dangers in these high-profile mismatches.
And he should have thought about that before getting in the ring with him. And I think a lot of things were revealed inside the ring. All the grabbing of the leg and stuff like that. That shouldn't have been. That almost looked like, it reminded me of Troy. You guys remember Troy when Orlando Bloom's character grabbed his brother's leg, You know what I mean? It looked like he was desperately scared, but I think he should have been desperately scared, because AJ was coming to hurt him. This wasn't a Mike Tyson fight. He wasn't 58 years old. This dude is 36. And Anthony Joshua, like he said, because I've heard AJ say stuff like that. Hey, I'm going to F you up. He said the same thing to Hellenius, because he thought Hellenius was looking at him crazy. And it's like, what do you, why are you looking at me like that? Right? And Hellenius like, huh? And what happened to Hellenius? He got knocked out, and needless to say, he tested positive for something. But yeah, so if you hear AJ say, hey, I'm going to F you up. Oh yeah. That's what he means. And I think Jake Paul knew it. And I mean, he avoided a lot of big shots at the beginning of that fight, But then as AJ started getting closer and those punches started getting, more in range of hitting him, the grabbing happened a lot, more. He started gripping off for dear life. And, $90 million, would anyone do it, though? I don't think anybody would do it, though.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for the next one.